All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Ultra High Net Worth Clients Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Broadhead. We started this podcast as a way to create a central resource of the best financial advisor practice growing tips shared by the most outstanding advisors in the industry. These outstanding financial advisors agree to be on the show and provide a ton of value for free, all in the hopes that our audience might learn from their words. My father was a financial advisor, and financial advisors are the main client we serve. So, our marketing agency's mission is to help every financial advisor and hedge fund manager grow their business in an effort to help the world become more financially secure. Today, we have the rare pleasure of talking with an incredible investment mind, Denver Smith. Denver, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for having me on the podcast today.
Sure.
My name is Denver. As you said, I started Carlson Ridge Capital back in around 2015. Carlson Ridge Capital is a manager to a private fund um, that consists of capital from high net worth individuals, and
Mhm.
really what we focus on is investing in small companies and actively getting involved with these companies to create shareholder value. We are
Cool.
yeah, we are value investors, so very much the old school Warren Buffett mindset of a share of stock is a piece of ownership in a business and not just a number on a chart. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's kind of the high level overview of what I do and Carlson Ridge Capital.
Awesome. Awesome. So, I normally like to start the interview with, how did you find yourself in this industry we so love?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say around the time I got into business school without really a clue of what I wanted to do, I realized that I didn't know who the business school at the University of Oklahoma was named after. His name didn't mean anything to me, so I looked it up. And most people in Oklahoma have some connection to oil and gas. And it turned out this individual did not. He was actually a guy from New York that was a big Oklahoma football fan and went to school there. His name was Michael F. Price. He
Mhm.
ultimately was one of the more famous activists and value investors starting back in the 80s. And looking up what he did kind of started my um, career path in a pretty quick way. I became pretty obsessed with value investing and kind of following his career, and that's really what initially led me towards finance, and then a lot of other things conspired to kind of put me on the specific path that I would say I'm on now. But that's originally what caused it.
Mhm. Awesome. Awesome. And how did you come to start the current fund you're involved in?
Yep. So in I would say in 2015, I was working for a business that I ultimately helped sell to a public company. I was working with the CEO, helped them sell that, and that kind of um, turned into me starting my own fund in managing money for that business owner that we help sell. So not the most standard way to get your largest client is to help them sell their business, but that is how I originally landed mine by helping them sell their business, and they became my first big client. Um, I always knew I wanted to um, be a fund manager. I really like working with a variety of different businesses, working with and analyzing, working with management teams. Um, in when I helped my previous employer sell their company, that really enabled me to go all in on launching my fund. And that is kind of how it started, and definitely not an orthodox method of getting your largest client, but that kind of directly enabled me to start this hedge fund.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how did you get involved with this person who you helped sell their business?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So they they approached me. Let's see, when I was in graduate school to come work for them in investment portfolio management capacity. That was not their core business. Their core business was actually in government contracting, which is the business that was ultimately sold. But I started managing an investment portfolio for this firm when I was still, full time college student, and so it's a relationship that started out as a part time job, turned into a full time job, and after I graduated college, it had been something I believe I'd worked for them for 9 or so years at the point when we kind of went and took the business to market and sold it. But it's a firm that I built a relationship with when I was in college.
Mhm. Okay. And how did you assist in the sale of the business? And can you share
Yeah,
any insights or advice on other folks helping clients sell businesses?
yeah, for sure. So the I guess the reason that I originally helped was I was kind of in the right place at the right time. I was doing some transaction research for unrelated matters on some M&A, like multiples that were being paid, and I was looking through one of those deals, and it applied to our parent entity, and I was like, huh, really, this isn't what I'm being paid to do, but I need to go speak with the CEO. I think he thinks the business is worth a lot less than what I'm looking at is indicating. And went to him and presented something. I was like, from our conversations in the past, you think the business is worth about half what I think you might be able to get. Might be worth looking at selling if that's something you're interested in. And we followed up on my, I would say, analysis, and confirmed it. And basically, myself and the CEO went and negotiated a deal with a company in Nashville, and we effectively, or not effectively, we did act as the investment bank on that group. Myself and the CEO, we didn't hire any outside counsel, which is sounds like not such a big deal, um, but I would say in hindsight, going through a quality of earnings review with a publicly traded firm without an investment bank is was not the most fun process in the world. Um, but
Mhm.
it was just kind of one thing leading to another, and it was really in the course of my work as a portfolio manager, figuring out something that I thought could help the owner of the ultimate entity that I was working for. And, always trying to help people in your network, even if it's not your specific job, has always worked out very well for me. And that's kind of the short-winded way of how I help with that.
Awesome. Awesome. So what was it about fund management that so interested
Mhm.
and excited you?
Yeah. So I don't the actual like portfolio management aspect isn't what really gets me. What gets me is being able to work with different types of business owners, learning about new businesses, finding ways to help, you know, new types of businesses with whether it's strategic or financial problems. I like being able to kind of wear different hats. Um, as far as seeing different businesses and figuring out ways to help create value. That's really the thing that's interested me the most. I think another part of the whole process and what I do that I like so much is kind of the hunt. I like looking for things that I would say other people have either overlooked, haven't looked at all yet, or I have a different viewpoint than everyone else, and that's kind of part of being a good value investor. It's you have to be able to be okay with being the only one with your convictions, and that can't be a problem to you. So that
Mhm.
that fits my personality well, I would say.
Yeah. Awesome. Are there any exciting businesses or industries or developments that are on your radar right now that you're open to sharing?
Yeah, sure. So in talking about, I guess like specific opportunities that we're involved with right now, well, one of them actually was, interestingly, there was a major development yesterday. So a couple weeks ago, we announced um, via an SEC filing that we owned 5.5% of the Dallas News Corporation, which is the parent company, Dallas Morning News. And to be completely honest, this is solely rooted in a valuation discrepancy between what the market was valuing a company at, and it was really based on some pretty simple math and analysis based on a building that they listed a few months ago in Plano. And ironically, since it's 9 in the morning, I think they announced like I'd say 12 hours ago that they are selling the building for $43 million, and their market cap was 26 million. So the math there is pretty straightforward. I didn't know I was going to be able to tell you that right now until last night, but I'd say that that's the most recent deal we've been involved with. Um,
Mhm.
that's probably the shortest answer.
Yeah.
Have a lot of, and that's not one that I um, have or intend on becoming really actively involved with the management team. I've chatted with them, but that one's a little bit different of a situation for me.
Yeah. Wow. Um, do your holdings span a wide amount of industries?
Yeah, yeah, good question. So I definitely consider myself industry agnostic, with a significant number of caveats. Um, so don't do a whole lot of biotech, pharmaceutical type investing, because I just know nothing about it. You need to have special skills. Anything where I can start reading the 10K of a company and I don't understand how the company makes money or who their customer is within like 30 seconds, I would say if that's the case, I'd move to the next one. Um,
Smart rule of thumb there.
yeah, I like to set the bar pretty low for myself. Um, but we are, I would say, generally agnostic to industry. Our largest position right now, to kind of give you an example, is a specialty food distribution business that I'm on the board of directors of. Number two is a consumer brand. I mean, we're kind of all across the board, all across the board. Things less science and tech related. Yeah.
Okay. Are there certain industries that you're most interested in or feel you can deliver the most value for?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I would say consumer industrial type businesses. So, you know, the business that I was referring to that ended up kind of becoming my largest initial client. So they were in government contracting with state. municipal, federal government. Um, but really, I've been heavily involved with companies all across the board. You know, I like financial services and insurance because I don't know. I just always been fascinated by that kind of being a value investor. I feel like most of our minds are somewhat attracted to some part of that space, to some extent, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
definitely easier to understand
Yeah.
than
Awesome.
the industries.
And uh the Dallas news uh deal, that
Mhm.
sounds like a very unique and exciting deal.
Yes.
How do you find these
Yep.
specific deals?
So I use, the sources that most hedge fund managers use to conduct my own independent research, Bloomberg, Capital IQ, stuff like that. But really that doesn't even hit the tip of the iceberg. So because I'm focusing on, pockets of the market where really, really big institutions can't effectively focus their time. You know, Goldman Sachs or whoever, take some big institution, they don't really care if a company that is worth 50 million bucks is being, you know, priced by the market at 25, because they have too much money to put to work for that to make sense anyways. So really there are other individuals like me across the country that I've become very close, friends and acquaintances with. And, I'm on the phone 4 hours a day. And most of that is, exchanging ideas with people in my network. There's a lot of turning over rocks. I would say say that there's no one thing, um, but definitely, always looking at special situations like companies being spun off from other companies. So that's actually how I started following Dallas News. So it spun off of a different company. Don't quote me on this. And I think in 2018, and I have a list of over, probably 1,000 companies that I just catch back up on maybe twice a year, and that's one that made that list, given that it spun off from a different company a couple of years back. Um, so I don't know if that's a way to not answer your question, but I mean, a lot of it is just staying in close contact with, you know 15 to 20 people whose, investment ideology and acumen I respect, and keeping keeping that list updated and continuing to network. There's all types of, you know paid and free sources available online for an enterprising individual that can help you, find a lot of those.
And how do you go about making these relationships with the folks that can bring you
Yep.
to deals? Yeah.
Um, Something that I learned early on in, especially when I started getting involved with the like companies that I was investing in, because most people don't think about, like, oh, a portfolio manager. I'm gonna call and see if I can help the CEO of this company we bought stock in do XYZ. And I found early on, when I started kind of having those aspirations, that you just pick up the phone and call someone. And it's that's kind of how it started. So one of my better friends in a contact that, I'd say our networks have grown out together to an extent, is a guy named Ian Castle. And the way I met Ian Castle was through, um we both made a SEC filing within one day of one another that said, hey, XYZ owns over 5% of this company. XYZ owns over 5% of this company. So I just picked up the phone, called the guy, and I've been friends with him for, how many years now? Like 9 years now. And he runs, a effectively like a lower middle market, wouldn't call it an investment bank, but a place where companies go present to investors, and he's been a good source. But I mean, it's just keep networking. you know be nice to everyone, and the universe will unfold as it should. I feel like, but it I can't you know emphasize enough how much like tiny little connections and just the way you interact with people will continue to affect your life. And yeah, because that network effect is very, very real. I was doing I was looking back on the growth of our um client base. So when I say client, I mean limited partners in our fund, over the progression of kind of how that's gone over the years. In 95% of all of them are people that I would say we have either specifically worked with in some other fashion, or is a connection of that person in really bringing on new partners for as has it feels like the less um you know partner outreach we have done, the more partners we have gotten, because it tends to be people that have been following what we do for 3 4 years. Then all of a sudden they're like, okay, they've they proved it. But it's not like just continuously marketing, so we're not really allowed to at all publicly market. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But it's also important to keep in good contact and communicate very well with everyone, because that's one of the only things that we can share with future potential clients is what we've communicated with previous clients. So the importance of communicating, clearly, actively, and managing expectations is super important also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you touched on it a little bit, but is there a specific way that you all find your limited partners to invest in the fund?
Yep. So historically, it's just been people that we've worked with, and people that have been in our business network. It that's been the predominant way. So I did recently bring on a new consultant to the firm, and they have quite a good deal of experience in raising money, and he's been super helpful in setting up some introductory meetings with people that have strategic alignment. But historically, it's literally just been word of mouth, and from our perspective, just continuing to focus on you know good long term performance and communicating what we're doing very, very clearly and openly with everyone that's a part of the fund. But more recently, we have made a targeted effort through this new consulting hire to kind of spread our reach a little more.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the consultant is out there, drumming up new business for you guys, finding new
Yep.
investors.
Yep. Really just looking for potential clients who would have a strategic fit. So I'd say what we do isn't something that is for every person, depending on where they are in their life, and really their kind of investment time horizon is the most important thing to us. So we're looking at these you know businesses, and we kind of have a 3 to 5 year time horizon with everything we do. In some of these smaller publicly traded companies, despite the fact that we're buying material positions of the companies in some instance, and in some instance having material, I'd say, influence over what they're doing. You know, they are less liquid stocks and they can be very volatile. And sometimes it's not appropriate for certain people to have, money in our fund if they have certain expectations over the next 1 or 2 year period. Nothing would worry me more than someone who had a 1 year expectation with an investment via our strategy. So we really are looking at it as business owners, and that's kind of one of the more important tasks that this consultant we brought on has, is to make sure that there's like a strategic and fundamental alignment of the new partners we meet with, and how we view the world, if you will.
Awesome, awesome. And so you're located in Colorado, I believe, Denver
Yeah.
specifically.
Yes. Yes. I am located in Denver. Yes.
Keeps it real simple.
Yeah, for sure.
um, so my question is about the importance of geography and your location in the world for finding these deals, finding investors for this deal. I know Colorado is just exploding in growth right now.
Mhm. Yep.
How important is it that you live where you live, and does that
Yeah.
contribute to a lot of deals you find and investors you find for the deals?
Yeah. So yeah, Colorado's a great state. I'm originally from Oklahoma. I'm an Oklahoman living in Colorado, but it I would say it doesn't have any material negative or positive impacts. I travel quite a bit, and we we focus on U.S. and Canadian firms. So I would say, as far as where I'm like looking for companies, it doesn't really have any impact. But it is a great central location for going all over the country, I guess, if you will. Um, so ironically, that that there is one deal that it has impacted. So I mentioned earlier, I'm on the board of this specialty distribution company, and about a month ago, we announced that we acquired a business based in Denver, Colorado, and that was not coincidental to me being here. It was a deal that I found and brought to the board, and it was a little bit ironic that it's based in Denver, and I'm in Denver, found it, brought it to the board. But say that is one instance where it has influenced. But that was kind of unintentional. But overall, we we just live here because my wife and I like the mountains.
I mean, it's a beautiful place to live.
Yeah,
It's definitely hard to beat. Um, awesome. So we are coming towards the end of our time together. So just one or two more questions, and we'll wrap this up.
sure.
I'm curious. When you find business you want to work with, invest in, how do you help them? How do you create
For
value
sure.
with them?
Absolutely. So in some instances, I do not attempt to. But
Mhm.
a lot of times, particularly in the realm of smaller publicly traded companies, there's some piece of the puzzle that's missing, whether that's related to capital, whether it's related to having the right talent. So I've made significant amounts of introductions to capital providers, investment banks, um, companies that want to get investor exposure. Made a lot of introductions for companies to go to their first investor conference, for instance. So it could be as little as that, um, or to providing capital. I mean, sometimes that is what people need to be helped, is money. So we've invested in multiple private placements with companies. So rather than going and buying stock on the open market, we're directly putting money into the company. Um, we've done that on multiple occasions. we've offered alternative forms of finance for firms and made introductions on the debt side of things. And then on the farthest end of the extreme, like I just mentioned, on the with the food company, we acquired a company here in Denver. I mean, I brought the deal to the board, help management structure it. I mean, that's definitely the as involved in as I will ever get. But I I really do have the intention of just helping. So might not be the typical form of activism, if you will, but that's kind of how I view it, is just doing whatever I'm capable of to help.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
And so a large percentage of our audience is financial advisors. Do you
yep,
ever work with them, from an
yep,
investor standpoint?
yep.
And if so,
I do
share with us, how and why and what sort of value
for sure.
financial advisors could find working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say in my network of people that I'm constantly sharing ideas with, a large number of those are financial advisors, and we would provide a diversification solution for a financial advisor for a certain subset of their clients potentially, and you know also work with financial advisors who invest in the smaller company sphere, and I have a lot who I really respect, but we would be like a I would say solution for part of financial advisors portfolio. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. So, my final question is an open-ended question. You can take it in any direction that you like. And that question is, what are you working towards?
Am I working towards? That's
Yes. You got two
yep,
beautiful kids. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, you know, really want to just keep grinding, doing what I'm doing. I'd hope to have, or I would say, firm about 5 times the size that it is today in 2 years, I would say. I I I would eventually like to close close the firm to new investors and just focus on adding value to businesses and growing the value of the fund. But that's really what I'm working towards, and I'm doing that pretty aggressively because if I can just focus on what we've proven to be best at, and that's uh, generating great returns and helping companies out, that would be optimal. But that is the near term goal, is to get to where we're not raising more capital.
mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
5x in 2 years, man. That's a
Yep.
lofty goal. Love it.
It is. It is. We have a lot of I would say momentum recently. So been adding new partners faster than we have ever before recently.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, everything you've shared with me would tell me you are on that path, man. So we'll be excited to keep watching on this journey. Where can my audience find out more about you?
On my LinkedIn profile, or you can feel free to email me at denver@carlsonridge.com. That's spelled just like it sounds. But yeah,
Nice. We'll be sure to link those in the show notes. Denver, thank you so much for coming on, man. This was an awesome conversation. I learned a lot.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chris. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it, man.
sure thing. All right, and all our listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in and keep on growing out there, everybody. See ya.